What's going on, guys? It is MurderInc here, back with another Raid Shadow Legends, doing kind of my first arena video ever. How appropriate for this pop-up to just appear on the screen like this. Oh, is that new with the moving guy here? Anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is how to counter this meta of the Blender arena team that's very popular right now. And for those of you who don't know what the Blender is, for some reason, you're going to take a look at my YouTube account. This is what a Blender team is. It's a fast champion arbiter followed by an ally attack champion, with the two most common champions being Skullcrown and Sinesha. Now today I'm going to show you a team that 100% counters this, 100% win rate, really easy to build. And before everyone starts going crazy, I'm going to show you, in my opinion, the best version of this. You don't need to replicate this. I'm going to be using 3 legendaries. You don't have to be using 3 legendaries. I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to show you the concept. Then I'm going to start going over all of the different champions you can use. You can even use a full epic team. There's even a rare you can use, so don't get too crazy yet. So let's jump right into this and go over our options here. So what we're going to do here is I am going to show you 2 examples, as we can see here. From team 3 here, we have a Blender team, and team 3 here as well, we also have a Blender team. A bit different than you normally see. Usually you don't see double ray, but I'm going to show you just how this works so you can replicate it. Alright, let's start off with the first battle here. Obviously this one doesn't matter, but I guess we'll just show you just in case. The one thing I do want to show, and I am going to talk about in another video, is how to counter a hegemon, and as we can see, this is the way to do that. Unfortunately, I am using the incorrect Madame Ceres for this, but this should still prove to work out fine. Let's go ahead and do this. We'll do some of that. Try not to get frozen at all cost. I'm pretty sure we can put this on auto. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. We'll see who this kills, what this kills here. Yeah, we're pretty much fine. Let's just throw this on auto. So this is the type of team I'm going to show you on how to counter hegemon. We'll go over that in a separate video. It works very consistently. There's one possible way you can lose, but there are ways around that, so we'll definitely go over that. But as for now, this is just something to watch just for fun as I'm working my way to that last team that's really going to show us the point here. And once again, this team, I'm not really sure why I have this team in here with both my hegemons. So let's just go ahead and try to lock them out here. Madame Ceres is going to go. That's fine. Gotta love the resist Rotos we're rocking here. Let's decrease that turn meter. Do it again. Benefit of having a double, what's it called? And what should we do here? Block revive. Sounds about right. Kill this Ceres. Would be nice if Warlord could actually get a turn here. Beautiful. Let's use that magical A3 and put this on auto. And now we are going to get into our highlight match here. As we can see, let's just watch it in all of its glory here. So this is in the highest ranking you can possibly be in the 3v3. I haven't been too active with it. However, it's still a lot of fun to do, and as we can see there, it's not even half health based on them going first there. So the key to this team is Duchess provides the damage reduction with their passive. As mentioned, I'm going to go over the other champions you can use in her place. Seeker, incredible piece to this puzzle here. If you think about Seeker, what his passive does, he applies that defense up based on getting crit. So it doesn't have to do a certain portion of the champion's health in case they can't break that shield. So it's very important to think about. This Seeker here is currently built in all damage gear because I use him in Clan Boss, so his gear isn't as important. His role is simply to apply that defense up, making it a lot harder because the defense up applies as the other attacks are coming in based on the first critical hit that actually hits any champion in this. So everyone does have that defense up for the remainder of the attacks on everybody else. One key takeaway is all of these champions are running, or should be running if they are running a successful Blender team, Helm Smasher, which has a chance to proc. I'm assuming, since this is the most damage of about the 50 or so trial runs I've ran, that actually broke my shield here. I've actually never seen health missing from a champion before. So I'm assuming we got really lucky here and we had Helmet Smasher procs from both of these attacking champions here, and this is how much damage it did. The other key piece is my Mountain King here. He's in a shield set, giving that extra cushion to all of these champions. Now the way that a smart blender would counter this is run the Shield Breaker Mastery, which does a 25% increased damage to shields. However, if your shield is big enough, you're going to even out that difference there, and it's not going to do a whole lot. And the third piece of this puzzle is actually Harvest Jack, an HP based champion who is going to be my damage dealer here. So now Seeker gets a turn. We're going to try to provoke this Arbiter. Doesn't matter that we didn't. She's going to get a second turn there. Now we have Harvest Jack. I built him not in the best gear. Once I show you the stats, you'll understand that based on the quality that I normally gear my champions, this guy's nowhere near where he should be. I am using an interesting set piece on this guy. I went back to one of my first YouTube videos and I saw that I was using an HP based Savage set. So I went back to that. So let's see what kind of damage Harvest Jack's A3 can do. And if you know anything about unkillable teams like this, you know that they build them very squishy. All they care about is one-shotting the target. If they can't do that, they pretty much lose. And this is guaranteeing you don't get one shot. So any type of HP based AoE damage dealing champion, even a defense based damage dealing champion, is going to completely make a blender team useless, making sure that you can always pull this team out. And anytime you see them in a 3v3 environment, if you notice you're constantly getting farmed, whether you're in silver or in gold from blender teams, throw this in there. People probably won't have seen a team like this that often before, and they're just going to start losing over and over again to you, eventually realizing, or maybe they're watching this video now. So if you see a team like this, I recommend not fighting it if you are running a blender, because it's not going to be an easy win. If anything, you're going to have to figure out a way to win. I haven't seen a blender team successfully beat the team I built here, which is why I did that claim of 100% win rate. If somebody thinks they have a way to beat this team, I'm all ears and listening for it. However, it has to be against a blender team. This team is definitely beatable with a team that isn't blender, but as far as blender goes, I'm pretty sure there's no way to beat this team. And as we can see here, they have no chance, so easy cleanup from Mountain King, and that's as easy as it gets right there. So what to take away from this is a shield set champion with high base health, an HP or defense based AoE damage dealer who you know is going to survive, some type of damage reduction, and a Seeker. There's also another option, but once I show my next example, that's when we will go over what you can do. So now let's face this double raid team. I actually haven't seen a team like this before, so I'm definitely extremely interested. And now that I remember, let's take this Ceres out and put this one in so we can better showcase the first team again. So the double raid is definitely going to be extremely interesting. Alright, so this is my counter here. Now, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we can just auto this based on the AI here. And this is just going to be a free win there. This team probably should have changed this. I said, what am I doing here? Curious and confused as to why I'm running double Hegemon and Warlord. Maybe there's a method to my madness, maybe not. Obviously, I'm running resistance, as you can see, with that Warlord lead, and I think I have about 400 to 500 on Warlord as well as Rhodos on top of damage dealing capabilities. So now let's use this A3, so Trunda does not one-shot my team. And once I start killing people here, this is pretty much game over. Let's go with the Arbiter first. Now Turvold's kind of scary, and now we hit auto, and we enjoy this free win on this team. No shots to this guy. I'm sure you spent a lot of time building this team, but you know, double Hegemon, not very fair. Alright, so this blender isn't the best example. I really was hoping that they would go first here. I'm not going to use this. Yeah, I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to use the A1 so they get a turn, so we can see what the blender actually does against this team. Alright, so as we can see there, they did a pretty decent job. They didn't do a lot of damage, but they did strip some buffs. I'm not sure if this actually works against other teams. Maybe it does. This is a team 3, and usually team 3 on champions aren't the best. which is definitely good news for me trying to counter a blender. It means I don't have to put a lot of effort into this. So we will turn meter boost there, kill the first red. You know, we'll just do this on auto because there's no chance we lose here. Now we have, what's his face going? Harvest Jack. Now, if I were smart, I wouldn't be using a green affinity champion against blue affinity champions here. You really don't see a team like this with double ray, so I didn't want to change it up just for this, but that's how you win against a blender team, even against all odds, having a weak affinity champion as your cleanup guy. So now that we've gone over this, let's go over the gearing, let's go over the talents and the options you have as the player to counter this based on what you have on your account. Alright, so the first champion that's going to be a part of this team is your shield set champion. This is going to be an HP based champion. You don't really care about damage. As you can see, 40% crit rate, 114 crit damage. Mountain King is the ideal choice because with as much health as I have, and you probably won't be getting 158,000 health on a Mountain King unless you have rather endgame gear, but those raw stats alone will make Mountain King's raw hits without critting enough to one-shot any champion in the game. I believe without defense down, he's hitting champions for 30 to 47,000 damage without critting, so that's a very easy one-shot, especially if he's strong affinity to any of the other champions. So we have champion 1 here. He is fully booked. It doesn't really matter for Mountain King, but shield set, don't care about any other stats. As far as mastery goes, as much health as possible, I would try to stick to this. Selfless Defender is pretty good, especially on your shield set champion because he's going to have the most health. And the other important thing to take is Cycle of Revenge. Any good blender team is going to be running 100% crit rate, and you don't want to get lapped. That is your one condition where you can actually die and this team won't work. So Cycle of Revenge lets you build more survivability and not have to worry about as much speed because you're giving yourself very high probability of increasing that turn meter by 15% because an ally is absolutely going to get crit every single time. The next champion that I used in this counter to a blender team is Duchess Lilitu. She is a bit fast at 317. I use it for a different team, but you definitely don't need a champion this fast in your team as the damage reduction champion. Outside of that, none of your other stats really matter. You do want all champions on this team to have a decent amount of health, just in case that shield is broken. You want to make sure you have some playroom with your survivability. And as far as mastery goes, I don't think she is masteried for the blender, but all that matters once again is this Cycle of Revenge mastery. The next champion we have here is good old Harvest Jack, and now you're going to see why I said I don't have the best gear on this champion. 240% crit damage if you've watched any of my other videos. This is far from what I'd ever use as an endgame build. Don't have to worry too much about accuracy because blender teams are not going to be running resistance. 196 speed, decent amount of speed, not terribly fast. And the main takeaway is 87,000 health. This is the benefit of the health-based champion having high base health, so you don't have to go crazy over the types of stats you have. Also, as you might be able to notice, I do only have the gold arena bonus, so this isn't even the top bonus, just to kind of let you guys see what it would be like having gold stats and not pad them further with that platinum bonus, since most players won't be in platinum when they're trying to replicate this. Although this team is an example, I would probably change a few things on Harvest Jack, being honest with you, giving him much better gear to guarantee he one-shots literally any count this goes against, but I haven't lost so far. And as I said before, I'm moving over 50 matches of blender teams in 3v3 and in gold or platinum arena, facing some of the best blenders that I've seen in the game, and not one has been able to beat this counter blender team. As far as masteries for this damage dealer, he's going to be running Helm Smasher and also Cycle of Revenge. And now we have the final champion on the list, which is my Seeker that is currently built for Clan Boss. Ideally, you don't really care about giving him any damage. 100% crit rate would be nice because Seeker actually does have very high damage multipliers. Speed doesn't really matter. You can give him as much as you want. Test it out, see how it does in the bracket you're in. Don't run him at 140 speed, it's probably not going to be good and you will get lapped. But outside of that, his health is very low, his attack's high because of my clan boss team, his defense is very low. I would switch the roles here and give him more health, give him more defense, focus a little bit on speed, 100% crit rate, maybe some accuracy if you want to. And that's pretty much the basis on what to do with Seeker. Once again, in case you missed it, the passive is the key takeaway here. Heals this champion by 20% and places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns when hit with the critical hit, which will always happen from a blender team unless for some reason you're facing an awful blender team that's going against you. In that case, you're going to win anyways. Masteries, this champion actually doesn't have the proper masteries, because Cycle of Revenge would actually ruin my clan boss team, so that's another thing to look at on how this team could be even better in application. Now that we went over the 4 champions, what are your options as players? Who can you use? So let's get right into that. First champion that I want to talk to is our first login reward. Whether if you've pulled her already or if you're looking towards pulling her, she can be a vital part in this as far as replacing the role of Duchess. Decreases the damage all allies receive by 5%. This champion will receive the damage instead. If there are multiple champions in this team with this skill, only one will activate, so you can only use one of these types of champions, and that would be her. You just have decent base health. It's nothing crazy. Obviously here I kind of built her for more damage, but it would be very easy to stack health on this champion and give you that additional 5% damage reduction, which will help you. Another option you have as far as a champion you can use is actually the rare Coffin Smasher. For those of you who don't know, he has a passive called Gloom Mist. Decreases the damage enemies inflict with AoE attacks, which is the signature to any blender team, by 5%. So another 5% DR. He also is a health-based champion with 21,000 base health. So really easy to stack HP on him. He's not going to do a ton of damage, so don't look for too much outside of the passive here, but once again, Duchess really doesn't provide me with anything since no one's really dying on the team and her revive isn't adding a lot of benefit. Looking at something like a replacement for Harvest Shack, you can pretty much use any damage dealer you want that is defense based. I know I've gone over a ton of them before, one of them being Grimskin. He's a perfect example of a defense based champion. Let me see if I can find him very quickly. He's on my list. That's Shatterbones. So it looks like I don't have Grimskin available here. If you don't know about Grimskin, you can either look up my video on the hardest hitting defense-based champions, or you can go to your index and look up Grimskin. He is an Ogren. Another champion you can use that's very interesting that I thought about is Soul Drinker. Now, while Soul Drinker may die, and you kind of want him to, you're going to build him with essentially no stats. You're going to be relying on this bomb debuff because a lot of blender teams do not run with immunity gear until you get to the upper gold and high platinum ratings, since it's a lot harder to gear full damage gear in immunity gear unless you've spent significant time or gotten extremely lucky in the Fire Knight dungeon. So this is an option where you can use as the probably one of the only attack-based champions that I would personally recommend to use in that damage dealing spot if you want him to die through his shield buff and apply those bombs to your target. Another strong champion you can use to your benefit in a counter blender team is actually Sepulchre Sentinel. If you do have a weak champion that you couldn't really gear based on the gear you have available to you, her passive that has a chance of blocking incoming damage can actually save you and provide to be extremely beneficial. If you don't think you have enough damage to one-shot the blender team on your first go-around, you can actually apply block debuffs and increase defense to extend the initial buff that Seeker gave your team in case your team's getting too many turns, their team's getting too many turns, for some reason Arbiter's reviving their team before you get a chance to kill them. So Sepulchre Sentinel can play a vital role in extending the life of your champions and making sure they're successful in countering that blender team. And the final champion that I want to talk to is Skull Crown, which is pretty much giving the enemy a taste of their own medicine. Something huge with this champion is the fact that they can place an unkillable buff for 1 turn if the health drops too low. So obviously you can build her with full damage if you want to. You can rely on that shield set. You can give her mastery so that she actually does more damage when her health is extremely low, and she will be very quick to take out your enemy team. And she's definitely a viable option, or either a leader aura giving you speed, or you can actually elect to choose Seeker as your leader aura. since his aura is defense in all battles, giving you that edge up, boosting everyone's defense by 30% on top of the HP based champions that you already have with you. Now the final champion that I want to talk to you guys about, a champion that I've actually used in the arena since she came out, because she can be very strong, especially against a champion like Rhodos, is the Orc Epic Sandlash Survivor. Now running Sandlash Survivor with Seeker might be a little bit of overkill. However, if you don't have a Seeker and you have a Sandlash, you can absolutely use Sandlash instead of Seeker. And instead of providing your team with a defense up, you have the opportunity of using Sandlash passive to your advantage. What this does is it places an ally protection buff on all allies if anyone drops below 50%, putting a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn. This is really good because as opposed to the other ally attack champions outside of Skull Crusher, any Blender team is just going to instantly kill anyone applying ally protection. The fact that Sandlash is going to provide a block damage buff on top of this is really strong, because all of that shared damage is going to go straight into the block damage buff, and it's going to nullify all of that incoming damage. On top of that, if you wanted to build her with accuracy, you can use this A2 on her first turn and get rid of any buffs that are currently lingering on your enemy champions. If they're running a Lissandra lead, they're running an Arbiter, or if they have a Skull Crown with the Unkillable already procced, this champion can actually strip that and make sure your next hit is the one that finishes off the enemy team. Alright guys, that's it for my video today. Hopefully this helps out a ton of people. I know everyone's been saying Arena is much more competitive, and with everyone and their mother kind of using Blender teams to farm, people are dropping like crazy where they normally wouldn't. Now here is a team that you can use to really amplify your gameplay regardless of where you are in the Arena rating bracket. If you're a Platinum player, this gives you a team that you can always use against a Blender team, all the way down to being in the early stages of Silver, where Blender is slowly starting to become popular, as well as the much more difficult Gold bracket, including 3v3 Arena. Now that you can look ahead and look at all 3 teams, you can look where the Blenders are, build a team like this, and you can always guarantee and count on this one team always being a win for you. I do want to give a shout out to FC, also known as Fart and Cows, who brought this theory to my attention and really let me expand on what I could do with this after he did that awesome takeover on my account, so I could see what he could do with my account in the 3v3 arena. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave a link in the comments below. Since the 3v3 started, I've actually never built any single team for myself. I kind of just threw champions together who had gear, tried to have some fun with it, since I've always been so focused on clan boss. So I thought it would be really cool to give someone like FC the chance to use my account, get to play around with it with a little bit. So there is a really cool video that you should definitely go and check out if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about this counter concept and team possibilities you can use to improve the quality of your arena. I look forward to sharing the next video about how to counter a hegemon, as well as going over some of the basics on 3v3 arena. There's a bunch of things that I find out that will make it much easier for you guys to climb, so you guys can see the tips that I have that I've used, where I've probably only battled 15 or 20 times a week, and I've still managed to get promoted each and every single week without putting any effort into my 3v3 arena team at all. Once again, if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my next video, and I will see you all in the next upload.